Hey guys, Pretzelman945 here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to my first video of 2025. Um, in this video, I am going to be talking about a game that I finished, like 2 days ago. 2 days ago, yeah. Which is Final Fantasy VII Reunion Crisis Core, aka the prequel to Final Fantasy VII. Um, Now, I played this because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out on Steam in 13 days. So, I felt like I had to play that game to kind of be prepared for it. Uh, I also did the whole like intermission part with Yuffie and whatnot. I really liked that. I loved Yuffie's character. That was really fun. Um, but that's not the point of this video. I just thought I'd quickly mention that. I talked a little bit about Crisis Core on the podcast when I was still in the middle of playing it. Um, and the way I would summarize Crisis Core now that I've finished it is it's a great game, but it's got some major flaws. Um, I, I'm gonna um I'm gonna talk about the negatives first because I definitely have less of them compared to the positives, so I think I can get it done with quicker. Um so overall I did really enjoy the combat and gameplay, but I think by far the worst aspect of the gameplay, and honestly my least favorite thing about the entire game, is the way that the level up system works. Because if you don't know, and I certainly did not, I had to look through like 3 or 4 different forums to find out this information. It's very difficult to find out how it actually works. But the way that you level up in Crisis Core is completely based on RNG. Now, as I'll get into, I love the idea of the DMW as a mechanic, but I think the fact that the only way you can level up is by rolling a 777 on it, and how much you roll that is only partially based on how much XP you gain, which they don't show you at all, is utterly ridiculous and extremely frustrating. It's not that big of an issue early game, which is honestly probably why I didn't have an issue with it in the early game. But as you get to the Sephiroth fight in chapter 8, that's the key moment where I really start noticing it. And beyond that point, it becomes incredibly noticeable and extremely annoying because it just I feel like needlessly makes it hard to grind levels in the end game for like cover bosses, I think. And I think perhaps the stupidest part is the fact that they don't really tell you that that is how it works. So you don't. So even like if you don't mind the way that system works, it's really hard to find out how to optimize the way you grind levels by doing missions. So that to me is definitely like the worst part of the game because it becomes incredibly annoying. um and I wish that the level up system was not based on RNG, and that it was like in Remake where it's like, normal XP building gets you levels like a typical RPG. um oh, Nick, sorry. Um, another complaint that I have about the way the combat works. Yeah, this one is more minor compared to the leveling up gripe I have, but like I think it's amazing that they have like the Buster mode in this game, but like why? in all the world's name, why is it not implemented like it is in Remake, where, you just press one button, you're switching between the modes? Why is it like where as soon as you've done one combo or hit one attack, does it go away? Why? It literally makes Buster mode unusable because you have to constantly keep like pressing the X and A buttons to switch into it, and then you run combo, and then you're back to normal attacks. If it was meant to be used, then why? So, why is it based on like the stale moves system where like if you do the Buster mode combo in too many times against one enemy or like um too many like ways, then like it doesn't, then like it stops raising your proficiency. Like I just I don't understand why Buster mode was implemented as to be needlessly as difficult as possible to use effectively. Like by the end of the game, my Buster mode proficiency wasn't even above 0.5% because, and I don't know, maybe this is a skill issue. It could be, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised at that because I'm not very good at games. But like it feels um like why? Just I don't get it. It feels like literally as needlessly difficult as possible. Um and it is kind of frustrating, especially because it's clear that it's a mechanic that's meant to be used, especially in the second half of the game, once it gets introduced. So I don't understand. I truly do not understand. But um uh that's my main complaints about the gameplay. In terms of the story, I think the biggest issue with the story is the fact that it lacks a sense of tonal consistency. Um, because I think that the serious story moments and character moments, which I'll get into because I have a lot of great things to say about that, but I feel like I feel like there are so many examples where and this is both in cutscene transition and the way the dialogue is structured. I think that there are so many moments where there could have been a really serious and profound character scene, and then it's either followed up by Zack doing some ridiculous action that might be meant to be funny, or a transition scene to something completely like unrelated, and those that lack of tonal consistency and those tonal shifts always felt extremely jarring. Um, and it kind of ruins the immersion a lot, I think. Um, Now that's all the negatives I have to say about the game. In terms of the positives, my favorite thing about the game is the mission system. I think the way the mission system works is fantastic, and there were so many times right before a extremely brutal story moment where I would just spend like an hour grinding missions because that whole system is great. I think it's just a fantastically implemented system, especially the way um that the missions rank up in difficulty and the way that they are unlocked. It makes for an absolutely fucking excellent progression system that just feels amazing, and the missions are just so satisfying and addictive to do. Um, um, Now, as for the actual combat, I love the implementation of I love the combat. I think it's fantastic. I love the mix between normal attacks, guards, blocks, using materia, using AP attacks. Um, Using taking advantage of the DMW role and the stat buffs it gives you and incorporating in the special attacks that you get. I think the entire balance of it is fantastic. I love the progression of materia that you get so it becomes stronger. I think that's great. Um and by completing missions, you slowly get like better and better equipment. I think that is fantastic. In terms of the DMW role, other than the fact it's used to level up, I think that's bullshit. But otherwise, I think it's a fantastic mechanic overall. And I love the way that it rolls to give you buffs, and if you roll the same character, you get to use a special attack. I cannot tell you how many boss fights my ass was saved by a level 5 Octo Slash roll. Um and I love the whole mechanic. I think it is so fun. Um and I think that in combination with playing all the missions, like sure there are quite a few absolute bullshit missions. I am not denying that. There are several that I instantly gave up on because they were just completely ridiculous no matter how much leveling up I had done in between attempts of those missions. But that overall package of the missions and the gameplay, absolutely fantastic. Oh, excuse me. Um, so, now we're gonna get into the story and characters. Um, I really like the story of this game. I think probably my favorite thing that they did with this is in terms of exploring Sephiroth as a character and you learn why he goes batshit insane. Like the revelations that he is like uh a Project S thing and the fact that he's made with Geneva cells and the fact that he thinks Geneva is his mother is crazy. Um and then that culminating with the boss fight was just absolutely fantastic. Um and then like that whole cutscene where like Cloud stabs him with the Buster Sword. Oh my god, that was just insane. That was so peak. Um, I really liked Genesis as a main antagonist. I think, um, I did not really understand at all like his whole thing of like quoting the whole like Loveless verses, but like once I watched a breakdown of it, like when you realize the verses of what he's talking about and the way that that relates to the combination of him, Zack, and Sephiroth as characters, and the way that that like fully ties the narrative together, honestly, is genius. Um, and I'm a really big fan of the way that it's executed. I think Genesis overall is a really good main villain. Um, I love the way Cloud is introduced in this game. I think he is I think he's just great. And um, in terms of Zack, I think Zack is a fantastic protagonist. I will say I think uh similar to the tonal inconsistency issue I had, I think there were a lot of moments where it kind of feels like Zack is like, like suddenly emotional and then, suddenly happy and cheery in the next scene, and that can feel a bit jarring in terms of like being immersed into his character progression. But otherwise, I personally it can get a little annoying, maybe. But I personally really liked his personality throughout the entire game. I really liked his relationships with the other characters and his development. Um, and probably my favorite character in the entire game is Angeal. I think Angeal has such a fantastic character arc, and his relationship to Zack is just amazing. Um, and kind of the way that even after his death, his role as a mentor to Zack is used to progress Zack's character and the story. I think that's fantastic. Um, and the ending of the story was just so good. It was so good. Um, that scene where you like fight basically infinite Shinra soldiers and then Cloud finally wakes up from the Mako poisoning to only well, see Zack dying, and then like Zack hands off the Buster Sword just like Angeal did to him was just it was incredible. Honestly, I was blown away by the ending. So overall, even though I had some pretty big issues with this game, it is far from a perfect game. I still think it is really good, and I had a very fun time with it. And I'm definitely very much glad I played it before Rebirth. Um, but yeah, that is gonna do it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.